During the Second World War, Germany built some of the most feared tanks on Earth. Tiger tanks, Panthers, heavy assault guns, machines designed to crush defences through shock and firepower. Yet one specific Allied vehicle created a level of dread so intense that German soldiers reportedly surrendered at the sight of it. It wasn't the biggest tank, it wasn't the fastest, and it didn't carry the thickest armour, but it carried something far more terrifying. Fire. Not symbolic fire. Not propaganda. Real, physical fire, projected in a stream so violent that it could melt bunkers, boil men alive, and turn fortified positions into instant infernos. This was the Churchill Crocodile, the flamethrower variant of the Churchill tank. A creation so brutal, so psychologically devastating, that even hardened Wehrmacht veterans chose capture over risking a confrontation. And despite its horrifying nature, it wasn't designed for cruelty. It was designed for one purpose: breaking through Nazi fortifications that were otherwise impossible to clear. The story began with the Churchill tank, an unusual but surprisingly effective British design. Early models were slow and mechanical issues plagued them, but once refined, the Churchill became one of the most reliable heavy infantry tanks of the war. Its thick armour allowed it to survive ridiculous levels of punishment, and its ability to climb steep terrain and cross obstacles made it a favourite during difficult assaults. But as the Allies pushed into Europe, British commanders faced a brutal problem. German defences, especially concrete bunkers and fortified machine gun nests, were inflicting heavy casualties. Explosives weren't always enough. Artillery couldn't always suppress them. Something more direct, more decisive was needed. The answer came in the form of a modified flamethrower system. Instead of replacing the tank's main gun, engineers added a flamethrower in the small hull machine gun position, preserving the Churchill's firepower while giving it the ability to unleash a jet of burning fuel up to 120 meters. That distance doesn't sound dramatic on paper until one realizes how flamethrowers work. The Crocodile didn't just fire flames. It fired a pressurized stream of fuel that ignited on impact, clawing its way into bunkers, trenches, and pillboxes. Flames poured through tiny openings, ventilation shafts, gun ports, anywhere they could reach. A well-aimed burst could clear an entire position instantly. But the terrifying part wasn't the flame projector itself. It was the trailer behind it. The Churchill Crocodile towed a large armoured fuel trailer carrying nearly 400 litres of flammable liquid under pressure. A special pipe ran from the trailer to the flamethrower nozzle at the front. If the tank was hit, the trailer could be detached from inside the vehicle. This feature saved many crews, because the Germans quickly identified the trailer as the most vulnerable point. But hitting it was easier said than done. The trailer was low to the ground, armoured, and the Churchill's thick plating often absorbed or deflected enemy fire long enough for the crew to respond. When the Crocodile finally entered service in 1944 and rolled into action in Normandy, its impact was immediate. German reports described the tanks as horror weapons, capable of destroying morale long before they reached the battlefield. Soldiers abandoned fortified positions at the mere rumour a Crocodile was approaching. Some surrendered whole bunkers without a shot fired. In one recorded account, a German officer admitted that his men feared the flamethrower more than artillery, tanks, or air bombardment combined. Fire is ancient, fire is primal, and in close quarters combat, fire is the most psychologically devastating weapon ever invented. The Crocodile's presence changed the dynamic of assaults. Instead of grinding through entrenched positions for hours, infantry could advance behind the tank with confidence. A single burst of flame could neutralize defenders who would otherwise fight to the death. And unlike handheld flamethrowers, which were incredibly dangerous for the operators, the Crocodile kept its crew relatively safe inside heavy armour. Its range was significantly greater than anything a soldier could carry. Its fuel system allowed multiple bursts before needing to refill, and the fear it generated often made it unnecessary to even use the weapon. There were, however, limitations. The tank was still slow. The trailer made tight maneuvers difficult, and the system required extensive maintenance to keep it operational. Yet none of these issues mattered in the broader scope of its battlefield role. The Allies didn't need it to win tank-on-tank duels. They needed it to break fortified lines, and in this role, the Crocodile excelled. As the Allies pushed further into Europe, the Crocodile continued to earn a reputation that bordered on myth. In the Siegfried Line battles, German bunkers that had resisted artillery bombardment for days were abandoned minutes after a Crocodile arrived. During urban combats, defenders retreated deeper into buildings or surrendered outright at the thought of being burned alive. In some cases, the tank never fired a drop of fuel. Its reputation had done the job before it even entered range. It's worth noting that the Crocodile was not created out of cruelty. British doctrine emphasised minimising casualties, especially among infantry clearing bunkers, with explosives or rifle fire was dangerous, slow, and often fatal. The Crocodile provided an alternative that, ironically, saved lives on both sides. Troops surrendered before the Flamethrower was used. Assaults concluded faster. Casualties were lower. Fire is horrific, but the mere threat of it prevented countless deaths. After the war, the Crocodile remained in limited service, but the world was changing. New weapons emerged. Armoured warfare evolved. Flamethrower tanks, once feared for their brutal effectiveness, became politically controversial and tactically outdated. Many nations phased them out entirely. And by the Cold War's later years, they were effectively extinct. Yet the legacy of the Churchill Crocodile remains unmatched. Few weapons in history have had such a dramatic psychological impact. Few machines have caused enemy forces to surrender purely from reputation, and few tanks embody such a strange combination of engineering, ingenuity, and battlefield terror. The Crocodile didn't reshape the tank world like the Panther or the Sherman. It didn't dominate battlefields like the T-34. But in the narrow role it played, breaking fortified positions and shattering morale, it was unmatched. The Churchill Crocodile stands as a reminder of a brutal truth in warfare. Sometimes the most effective weapons are not the largest or the fastest or even the most technologically advanced. Sometimes the most effective weapons are the ones that terrify the enemy into giving up before the first shot is fired. And in that regard, there was nothing on earth quite like the Crocodile.